It's time for our book chat conversation, and this particular conversation is one you might want to take note of and go back to YouTube and watch again. Why? Because I don't think there's anyone that doesn't have a family member, friend, relative, or colleague who has not been in debt. We have with us for book chat Christopher Omoijiade. He is a prolific author. He's written quite a few books, very impactful ones, including Get Ahead, The Irrefutable Role of Gatekeepers, and then You Too Can Be Debt-Free. Some leadership gems in the Bible offering insights on leadership, success, and financial empowerment. Now, he's a graduate of Koinonia School of Ministry and Abdullam Bible School as well, and he leads the Arimathea Believers Network, equipping marketplace apostles. Great to have you back on Wake Up Nigeria.
Thank you for having me, Titi.
Wow. Okay, so this is a packed book. There's a lot to unpack from this.
Yeah.
You Too Can Be Debt-Free. I just want to look at the camera now and say, yes, you that is watching or listening right now, you too can be debt-free. And there is a lot to say about someone who writes about debt.
Yes.
You can only write from a place of experience.
Yes.
So how much of this are you willing to share? The experience that led you to put this book together?
Quite a lot, because one of the things that debts usually would do is to cover you up in darkness. And whatever you allow stay in darkness grows in magnitude and grows in influence over you. So my journey was actually quite interesting of some sort, because debt sometimes can be like the weed in your garden that you often ignore till it becomes an entire forest.
Wow.
And even though I had run a lot of businesses and I was out there doing quite a lot of work, I found out that beneath it all was like a cancer. It was like a tumor that was growing. And like, you know, once it's not taken care of, diagnosed early or treated, debt is the inevitable end.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of, I always say debt is a result, in my own case, of actions and inactions. Meaning that some things that you do and some things that you don't do.
Okay.
In my own case, actions like sometimes even robbing Peter to pay Paul. And in sometimes inaction like not opening up to loved ones on time, not opening up to professionals or people that can chaperone you to a place of rest. So mine was a potpourri of some sort. And even though the amount was quite sizable, once I was able to retrace my steps and start applying the practical principles embedded in the book, I found myself in a space where I can be on this beautiful show with you this amazing morning.
And you can smile.
Oh, yes.
Because you are officially debt-free?
Yes.
All right. Now, there was a line my husband and I used to say in 2023, debt-free in 2023. There was something we were paying back for a long time, and we kept praying, debt-free 2023, debt-free 2023. And there are some people who have essentially borrowed from Peter to pay Paul.
Yes.
Over and over and over again. That cycle of debt and borrowing and lending. Oh, goodness me. Some lenders are offering you money and you're not even asking for it.
Yes.
So let's talk about why this actually exists.
I think debt is almost as old as man himself. It is something that didn't just start last century, the century before that. As long as man has been on the earth trading with man, you find out that debt has always been there. And unfortunately, because of the cultural narrative and the media projection of some sort, we found ourselves in a space where a lot of people are being influenced negatively.
Okay.
People are trying to keep up with the Joneses. People are trying to, get ahead faster than their legs can carry them.
Okay.
And the inevitable part will be debt. And once you get into that debt, you find out that it's a lot more difficult. You look for the next option to be able to breathe for a day or two. Off camera, I was giving you an instance of a story of someone who reached out to me. Her son had picked a phone and had borrowed from one of the loan apps and got her into debt. And in that space, in trying not to let mommy and daddy know that I'm in debt, a boy in school starts borrowing from all the other apps. It gets to a certain level, and that's one thing. There's always a ceiling when it comes to Peter. You will run out of a Paul.
Wow.
You will run out. There will be a day that there won't be a Paul. Then everything hits the fan. So that often is debt's excuse, or should I put it this way, that is the initial pathway that he offers you as a means of escape You can take from that man, you can take from that woman.
Yeah.
You can breathe again for another day or two, a week, a month before trouble comes. But the truth is, nobody really ever gets out of a deep hole by digging further down.
Wow, wow. And it is digging a further hole. Even the fact that there are so many of these apps sending out messages and adverts, making people feel comfortable with debt. Can we talk a little bit about the spirituality behind debt?
I would like to say, because I'm a man of faith, and I like to explain this from my own faith perspective, that I believe strongly that there is a lot of spirituality towards money. I mean, the root word of money is currency, and that means current, it flows. If you understand that, you would understand that, like I'm speaking from the perspective of the Bible, it will always tell you that the borrower will be slave to the lender. And there is no definition of the word slavery that ever looks good, regardless of the dictionary that you use. A slave is a slave. It means that you will bow down to the whims and caprices of whoever you definitely owe. In fact, I would like to expand a little further by saying this. Every time you are indebted to someone, you are indebted to whatever they bow down to as well.
Okay.
You are indebted to their systems, their ways, their commands. You are indebted spiritually and otherwise.
So if they got their money or wealth from a particular dark place,
then I tell you that you put yourself in line to also be visited by whatever they got it from as well. But even more dangerous is the fact that they also control you. When you're in debt, you literally don't want to step out and bump into your creditor. What do you call that?
Wow.
That in itself is bondage in itself, because there's some certain places you can't go. There's some platforms you can't speak because your voice literally is taken away from you.
Wow.
But going back to the loan apps that you said, we are facing a pandemic of proportions that if we do not nip in the bud, I tell you for free, this generation and the ones to come will grapple with debt in a way that they would not imagine. I have a debt conclave. It's a platform that I just try and give back to just say, you know what, you need help. You need someone to encourage you that there is, there's rainbow, there's light at the end of the tunnel. When you hear stories of people, people are suicidal, people have lost marriages, people have lost jobs, people have lost their essence as individuals, then you will know how dangerous it is. These loan apps pop up from nowhere, appear on the App Store. You can borrow, and guess what? From research, I have a friend whose advocacy is tailored at bringing down these apps. Research shows that these particular apps are actually owned by quite a conglomerate of individuals who are perpetrating this down, so we need to nip it in the bud. Okay,
so I'm going to have to wrap it up on this now. It's a conversation that definitely can't finish now. The book title is You Too Can Be Debt Free, and I'm just going to quote Deuteronomy 15:6. It says here, you will lend to many nations, but you will never need to borrow. You will rule over many nations, but they will not rule over you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.